WDLC Port Jervis.
This presentation is copyright NeverSync Media Group and may not be recorded or otherwise distributed without the express written consent of the owner of the broadcast.
Good afternoon, football fans, and welcome to Championship Weekend. It is the championship weekend of the Orange County Youth Football League and the local youth football community. It's often referred to as Super Saturday. Christian Farrell with Tom Fagione coming to you live from Marlboro High School, the site for this year's Division I, Division II, and Division III championship games. Just a few minutes, we're going to have the Division II championship game between the Port Jervis Raiders and the Kingston Tigers. Tom, great to be with you. It's a beautiful day for football. It's November. Sun is out. It's kind of cold, but it's a great day for football.
Well, you know one thing, Christian, great here to be with you. But if you're playing football and it's cold out and it's mid to late November, that means one thing. You are near or you are playing for the championship.
Absolutely. Again, this is the Saturday before Thanksgiving. It's been this way around here for a long, long time. This season at the youth football level starts on August 1st. So these teams, these players, these coaches, these parents have put in so much time and effort to get to this game. And again, they would really love to culminate all that time and effort with a championship win.
Yeah, you know, August, I remember when these kids first started playing. I remember it because there were days they couldn't practice because it was so hot out. And now the only thing hot going around here is hot cocoa and the hand warmers.
Absolutely. The concession stands are brimming with the sales of hot chocolate. But again, as you mentioned, it's hot. Those days of starting football practice, I mean, the youth football practice starts even before the high school football practice. So, but again, it's a great thing. And often, again, these players that will be calling out their names in just a little bit of time, they're going to be the future stars playing for Port Jervis and their opponent today being the Kingston Tigers.
And how about the vista that we have here? First of all, Marlboro High School opened up the doors, let the Youth Football League in here for the 3-game exposition here. This is a great day for football. The D1 game just ended. Middletown beat Valley Central, and there are kids all over the field, moms and dads, aunts and uncles, grandpops and grandmoms here, excited about that win for Middletown in D1. D2 is about to kick off, and then after us, the D3 championship. It is a great atmosphere here, and everyone is so stoked to be here. Christian, I'm excited to be here with you. But, boy, there was a road that both teams had to take to get here.
Yeah, you talked about Middletown winning the Division I championship, but Middletown was the team that Port Jervis knocked off on Middletown's home field in the semifinals to get here. And that was an undefeated Middletown team, and Port Jervis got rid of them
36-7.
Yeah.
You know, that game was a big game. Charlie Hendry, Xavier Coffin, they both had 2 picks. Coffin took one back to the house. Justin Jones had a rushing touchdown, and he threw a touchdown to Carter Campbell. That was a big game. Nick Kmart also had a couple touchdowns as well. So these guys know what it takes to get to the next level, and they showed it last week against Middletown.
Both teams come into this game, Kingston and Port Jervis, with 9-1 records. You mentioned the semifinal win against Middletown for Port Jervis. Before that, in the quarterfinals, they beat Valley Central 20-6. Kingston, on the other hand, 7-1. Their only loss was to Middletown. In the quarterfinals, they win 19-0 versus the town of Newburgh. And then their semifinal win was against Monroe 18-6, which is the only team that beat Port Jervis this year was Monroe.
And not only that, how about this? You talk about numbers, talk about stats. Here's a stat, and I got to show this to you because I can't almost believe it myself. Port Jervis has outscored their opponents 287-28.
That's dominating football, and they're led by a number of players. But one young guy we'll be talking about often today is number 7, Ben Rivera.
Ben Rivera is a big hitter. He's a big playmaker. This is a kid who likes to play this game at the level that we see at the high school level. He's a big ticket item out there on the field today.
Port Jervis football fans are hoping in about 2 hours from now, as the teams are getting ready to come onto the field for warm-ups, that they will claim their first ever Orange County Youth Football League championship.
And listen, none of this would be possible. We got to thank all of our sponsors. We're going to thank them throughout the broadcast. First and foremost, we want to thank the Port Jervis Youth Football League, all the volunteers who come out to coach, to be cheerleading coaches, football coaches, help at the concession stand, make the Harriet Space Park truly the field of dreams that it is. But also we want to thank our big bosses at WDLC Radio. And, of course, this would not be happening without the assistance and support of attorney James M. Hendry. He has helped us out to make this happen live today. It doesn't hurt that he's an assistant coach and his son Charlie's on the team.
Kingston Tiger fans are getting loud right now as their team takes the field as well, the Tigers. But again, we talked about the players, and we'll be naming them all afternoon. But let's talk about the coaches. Again, it's voluntary to get you coach youth football. You really sometimes you have a son on the team or a daughter. Port Jervis has 2 girls on the team. But let's go over the coaches for Port Jervis. Jason Kamar, the head coach. Joe Andriak, Dave Frank, James Hendry, Josh Jones, and Chad Snyder, the staff for these Division II Port Jervis Raiders.
Well, that's a lot of assistant coaches.
That is true. Well, yeah.
With a dramatic pause for a reason. But that's good, at youth football, it's so hard to keep the kids, and Christian, your dad, keep the kids' attention for practice. Practice can go an hour and a half, and you have to keep those kids' minds in the games. And these kids sometimes are looking to their left, looking to their right. So those assistant coaches, not only are they there to teach football, but they're also there to keep the kids focused.
Absolutely. My goodness. Talking about Division II, you're talking about 10, 11-year-olds, right? 5th and 6th grade most of the time. So, their attention span is not always there for an hour and a half. So
kind of like you and me, right?
That's all. Yeah, that's why you'll get about an hour and a half or 2 hours of us this afternoon. But
so if the game goes to overtime, we might be in trouble.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day though for football. Again, Marlboro High School. You alluded to it already. We're getting ready for the opening coin toss.
And out there, the captains for the Raiders: number 7, Ben Rivera, Nick Kamar, number 14. Along with, I think that was Isaiah Green, number 10, and last number, can't quite make it out yet because they're all shaking hands with the Kingston captains as well. And the Raiders getting set here. They're all lining up. Oh, yeah, that was, and Justin Jones, number 11.
The Kingston, Cole Ferrara, one of the captains, Ryan Simon, Miles Boughton, and number 14, Connor Cafaldo.
So both teams here, they know what it takes to get here to this game. A little bit of history on the Port Jervis Youth Football League. The football teams for Port Jervis have never won this final championship in youth football history, and Port's D2 team is definitely going to try to make a difference in that today.
Again, if you're just tuning in, it's the championship of the Division II Orange County Youth Football League. Kingston versus Port Jervis, just to give you an idea. Again, we have 10 and 11-year-olds competing in this game. And weight limit of 142 pounds.
Oh, Christian, you could play.
I might be just a little over that, but if a light breakfast, I might qualify. We'll see.
Well, Kingston won the coin toss. They have deferred, so Port Jervis is going to. Looks like they're going to receive from our left to our right. So things are just about get set. I think we are going to pause. And I think we might throw it back to the studio. I think we're going to have a quick commercial break, and we're going to throw it back to the studio. You're listening to Port Jervis Youth Football here on WDLC Radio.
Just about to get started here at Marlboro High School, the Division II championship of the Orange County Youth Football League. Port Jervis versus Kingston. Christian Farrell with Tom Fagione. 2 teams, both with 9-1 records. And just earlier, Tom, you mentioned about the dominating fashion that Port Jervis has won their games this year. You do the math. They're averaging almost 30 points a game, and they're giving up about 2.
That says a lot about both the skill set offensively and the strength defensively of this D2 Raider team. There's a lot of talk in the community about Port Jervis, and, the high school team took it on the chin last night against Pleasantville. Unfortunately, the Raiders lost 33-7. But when we see this D2 team, we know that we always say it at the varsity level, Port Jervis never rebuilds, they always reload. And we not only have we don't have to worry about rebuilding next year, we're reloading next year, and our future is bright with these D2 kids who will eventually be the varsity Raiders.
Absolutely. Again, Port Jervis has strung 4 consecutive Section 9 Class B championships together.
And you want to talk about Class B, how about this? Port Jervis is the only team here today that is not a AA school or an A school playing in the Youth Football League championships.
That is saying something. Well, we're about to get started. Youth football, they're at the Division II level. There are no kickoffs, so Port Jervis will take it 1st and 10 on their own 35-yard line. They come out with a full house backfield, 1st and 10. Handoff over the right side. That's big number 7. Carries it for about a 3-yard gain for the Raiders, Ben Rivera.
We talked about him in the pregame. He is big. He is tough. He likes playing defense, likes to make the big hits. But, boy, he's a sharp running back as well.
To at the youth level, if you really have a dominating player, and Ben Rivera is probably one of a few for Port Jervis, you really can control the game. So second and, we'll call it 7 for the Raiders on their own 37-yard line. Again, full house backfield. This time they'll run it the other way. Inside handoff goes, not much doing as they run it to the left side this time. Tackle made by Connor Cafaldo is going to bring up third down and maybe 7. No gain on second down, so we'll see whether they decide to keep the ball on the ground, or we'll see if they put it up for the first time today.
That was Nick Kmart on the carry. Yeah, he went off tackle left, and that Kingston Tiger defense read that and had him snuffed out.
Tigers with a 6-man front. Port Jervis again, 3rd and 7. This time they run it right side again. Not much doing for the Raiders.
Isaiah Green for the Raiders on the carry. That defense, you mentioned 6-man up front for Kingston. They are owning the line of scrimmage there. It'll bring a 4th down and about 6 or 7 for the Raiders.
So first possession of the game. It brings up 4th and 7 for the Raiders. They got 3 yards on their first carry by Ben Rivera, but have been stonewalled on on 2nd and 3rd downs. Brings up 4th and 7. They are in a punt formation with looks like Rivera's back 2 punts.
Gotta watch the fake here.
High snap. Rivera takes it and does get it off. Punt will go towards the Kingston sideline. Bounces down, and it is fallen on there by the return man for the Tigers. So they will take over 1st and 10 from their own 42-yard line. We're just getting started at Marlboro High School. 10 minutes, 5 seconds to go first quarter. It's scoreless between Kingston and Port Jervis.
So the Raiders 3 and out on offense. You know, you got those jitters. You mentioned it, Christian. These are 10 and 11-year-old young kids. And those jitters of playing in what's being called the Super Bowl championship game, you know, those jitters of first series, hey, listen, that exists at the varsity level as well.
Yeah, for these young kids, this is the biggest game of their football lives right now. Kingston comes out in a tight formation, send number 1 in motion. He gets the pitch. That's Luca Riza turning the corner on the right side. Not much doing. He'll pick up about 3, maybe 4 yards. We'll give him on first down, bring up 2nd and 6.
Yeah, speed sweep with Ariza in motion from the right. And you saw who was right behind him. That was Ben Rivera.
Ben Rivera all over the field. One of the things at the youth football level, again, depending on the size of your roster, a lot of players going both ways. We talked about Ben Rivera, the running back for the Raiders. Now he's playing linebacker for the Raiders on defense.
And you mentioned off air, every kid on the team has to get a certain amount of plays as well. And Kingston has a deep bench.
2nd and 6 for the Tigers. This time they run a jet sweep. Cannot get outside, and brought down behind the line of scrimmage by Port Jervis. Going to bring up 3rd and long for the Tigers.
Boy, nice coverage. That was Charlie Hendry on the tackle for Port Jervis as Kingston tried to sweep left on that time, and Hendry said, nuh-uh, not my way.
Ball marked at the 40-yard line of Kingston, so a loss on the play. 3rd and 13 coming up for the Tigers.
6-yard loss for the Tigers. Great defensive hold there. 3rd and long for Kingston.
Tigers have 1 receiver split wide to the far side of the field by the Port Jervis bench. They run a man in motion. They get the pitch again, going outside. He's got some running room, trying to turn the corner, but he's going to get knocked out of bounds on the Port Jervis sideline, short of a first down.
That was Miles Bowton for Kingston. Well, he had some good moves outside, Christian.
So Kingston early on has tried to run the ball outside all 3 times. First down was a pitch to the right side. 3rd down was a pitch to the right side. Jet sweep came towards us, but Port Jervis has done a good job of containing the outside run.
Tale of 2 teams. Port tried to run inside tackle, off tackle a little bit. Kingston says we're going to take it to the outside.
And Kingston looks like they have no idea of punting. So 4th down and 6. We'll see if they try to draw Port off sides. They're going to run the pitch to the left side this time. Got some running room. Brought down at the 50-yard line. It's going to be short. Port Jervis defense stands. They'll take over at midfield.
Oh, big hit on the play by Isaiah Green for the Raiders. And like that, the Raiders get the ball back in Kingston territory. Gutsy call for Kingston to go for it on 4th down in their own territory. And a defensive hold by the Raiders.
Bowton got the pitch. Ran left this time, but brought down right at midfield. But that's short of a first down. It will be 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Good field position. Their 2nd possession of the game. We're scoreless. 7:46 to go in the first quarter of the Division II Orange County Youth Football Championship.
Both teams feeling out their first series. Both teams unable to do anything. Let's see what Port does on their second.
1st and 10. Port trying to get outside. They're running wide left. Play being strung out pretty well. He cuts it back inside. Dances around some players. Still on his feet. An amazing run. Still going. After about 19-yard gain, 1st down for the Raiders. Let me see if I can get the number of the ball carrier. Tom, help me out.
That was a great run. And if I'm not mistaken, that was Nick Kamar, 14 for the Raiders.
He went wide left towards the Port Jervis sideline. Nothing doing there. Cut it back. Broke about 2 or 3 tackles. And then finally brought down from behind, but not after picking up 19 yards. 1st and 10, Port Jervis on the Kingston 31-yard line.
What determination by Kamar in the backfield.
This time a power eye right. They run into it to Rivera.
They like that off tackle with Rivera. He's tackled by 3 Kingston Tigers.
Excuse me, that's not Rivera.
Yeah, that's Isaiah Green.
Green.
Jones, number 11, right?
Justin Jones gets the carry. Then a power eye formation to the right-hand side. And again, as you mentioned earlier, aside from that last run, everything's been inside between the tackles for Port Jervis. But they pick up 4, 2nd and 6 for Port Jervis. Their offense is on the move. Again, power eye formation, Port. This time it's a dive to the fullback. He stood up pretty well by the Kingston defense, going to bring up 3rd down for Port Jervis.
And that's Rivera on that carry. Big shout out for Ben Rivera as he, the fullback for the Raiders, tackled on that play. Got a shout out to his folks and family out there. And they are saying, I got to bring it up here on my phone. Hey, can you give our shout out to our parents as well as the Silcos listening down in Madison, Mississippi? Bet you it's nice and warm down there.
I'm sure it is. 3rd and 5 coming up for the Raiders. Full house backfield. They're going to run right. Trying to turn the corner. Cuts it back inside. Running some hard running. It looks like he was going to have enough for a 1st down.
Is that Rivera again?
That is, from our vantage point, number 10. It looks like that's Isaiah Green with the carry. Some hard running. 1st and 10 for the Raiders inside the Kingston 20-yard line. Ball marked at the 19. 5:30 to go, first quarter. Scoreless. Division II championship. Port Jervis on the move.
And a nice run by Green.
So 1st and 10 ball on the far right hash. High formation. Off tackle left to number 14. That's Nick Kamar. Again, a good pickup on 1st down. Ball marked down at the 15-yard line. Pickup of 4. 2nd and 6.
Port sticking to the ground game. No need to go to the air. And they have given the ball off to 4 different running backs. They've Rivera, Kamar, Jones, and Green as well. So Port really diversifying it on the ground.
Whistle on the field. Referee will stop play momentarily.
The ball rolled away.
So they'll reset it. It's at the 15, 2nd and 6. Again, full house backfield.
Boy, tight set for the Raiders. Toe-to-toe at the line.
They're going to run right again. Cuts inside. The big guy barrels down. He looks like he's going to be close to a 1st down. They need to get to the 9-yard line. That's Rivera again. He's
How about
dragging
Rivera?
some bodies.
Puts his hand out, not for a stiff arm, but he pushes a down defensive lineman away, and then he barrels his shoulder down. That is some football IQ from Rivera.
I mean, he looks like, he just looks bigger than everyone else on the field. He looks like Derrick Henry coming out of the backfield.
Saw him play Little League. He was a pitcher in one game, and I was behind the fence, and I was scared.
So they mark it a yard short, 3rd and 1 for the Raiders. This time Rivera is the lead blocker. Inside handoff into the...
Kamar.
Oh, he fumbles it as he crosses the goal line. It's a scramble. Port Jervis jumps on it. And the arms go up. Touchdown Raiders.
So Kamar takes it to the 1. He fumbles it, and it's Isaiah Green. Check that. Yeah, it was Isaiah Green, number 10, who picked up the ball in the end zone. You know, you can't intentionally fumble the ball forward, but Kamar had no intention of fumbling it. He wanted to get in the end zone, but he popped the ball. The ball was popped out of his hands, loose. Port Jervis scores early, and it'll be a 6-0. And how about this? Port setting up for the 2-point kick, and Ben Rivera will be the one to do the kick.
So now in youth football at the D2 level, you can kick it off a tee. And so there's no snap. Ref will blow the whistle. He'll kick. Kingston can rush to try to block it. There's the whistle. The kick looks very good, and it is through. And at this level, you get 2 points if you can kick it through. So Rivera, 2 points. They tack it on. 8-0 Port Jervis. They lead Kingston. 3:45 to go in the first quarter. Port Jervis strikes first. They had 31 from the 10-yard line. As we mentioned, breaks through into the Kingston secondary. Ball comes loose, but Port pounces on it in the end zone. And they're on the board first.
Yeah, 8-0. Port stuck to the ground, and the offensive line did a great job. But, boy, the diversification of the running game for Port Jervis in the backfield. Different ball carriers on every sequential play. Kingston wasn't sure what to do, and Port Jervis capped it off with not only the touchdown, but the 2-point kick from Ben Rivera.
8-0 Kingston. Their second offensive possession on their own 35. Inside handoff. Oh, it's a big hit by Port Jervis right at the line of scrimmage. Number 7, Ben Rivera. We said he looks like Derrick Henry on the offensive end of the football, and I don't know. You give me a defensive player.
Oh, man. Big-time hit from Rivera there. You know, he kicked that ball. How about the kick on the 2-point? That was something that you see in high school. That was a great kick, and he responds to the next play. He's like, guys, not only can I run the ball, not only can I kick, but I sure like me that defense.
They call that the triple threat. Ben Rivera. 2nd and 9 for the Tigers on their own 36. A little misdirection in the backfield. Handoff again. Port Jervis defense not falling for it. He stood up at the line of scrimmage. It's going to bring up 3rd and long.
Jonathan Andriak and
number 17, Mason Townsend, in on the tackle for the
Smart.
Raiders.
Stayed at home. They knew that was going to be that inside trap, and they stayed at home and clogged up the lanes. Good defensive surge there. 3rd and long now for Kingston. And Port Jervis, we talked about their outscoring their opponents. Port's defense is saying, yeah, we came to play just as much as our offense.
Jesse Schoonmaker, they have split wide receivers to the top field, to the bottom. The first pass of the game. It's deep down the left sideline. Tight coverage. The pass is ruled incomplete as they overthrow Schoonmaker. He brings up 4th down for the Tigers.
Boy, Cole Ferraro, he's got an arm. Kick and throw.
Yeah, he straight dropped back and threw it deep down the sideline. They got about 20, 30 yards on that. Overthrows his receiver. Looks like the punting team is now in the game for the Tigers.
They got 20 kids come on and off. That's great. They have enough kids to sub out for the punt team. So Kingston to punt. And on their last 4th down, they opted to go for it. This time at their own 36, they know they have to punt.
So good snap. Kick is away. It takes a Kingston bounce and will roll dead at the Port Jervis 34-yard line. And that's where Port Jervis will take possession. 1st and 10 from their 34. They lead 8-0. 2 minutes, 10 seconds to go here from Marlboro High School.
You know, we talked a little bit about the offense for Port Jervis, and Isaiah Green, you know, he picked up that touchdown in the end zone, the ball that fumbled loose. You know, he's the younger brother of Port Jervis High School sophomore Carol Dolshin. Carol played on the varsity game last night. Unfortunately for the Raiders, they were a little short, but football runs in that family. So Isaiah Green's got some football smarts, and he knows where the ball is.
Now, Port Jervis, they're wearing their red and black uniforms, mostly black with red trim, red numbers. Kingston in white with their maroon trim. But 1st and 10 for the Raiders on their own 34. Again, full house backfield. This time it's a handoff to Rivera. And he's tripped up behind the line of scrimmage by number 11. That's Carter Boughton. So he'll lose a few.
How about Carter Boughton? That kid's just 9 years old. That's a big-time play. Good tackle. He knew exactly what he had to do against Ben Rivera. You're not going to tackle Ben Rivera high. You got to tackle him at the waist or below, and Boughton got him right at the shoelaces. So nice tackle from the 9-year-old.
9-year-old not at all intimidated by the big Port Jervis stud running back wearing number 7. So 2nd and 11, a loss of 1 on the play. Port Jervis. There's a whistle on the play. They'll blow that play dead. We'll see. Looks like it might be preliminary signal. It might be offsides versus Kingston, and it is. So they'll get 5 yards back. We'll bring up 2nd and 6. Now, we've talked about the success of Port Jervis at the high school level at least the last 4 or 5 years again, and you probably attribute that to, again, the youth coming up and feeding it. Now, on the other hand, Kingston Tigers football at the high school level has really struggled lately, but maybe this is a good sign to see these young Tigers in the championship game. Back to the live action. It's a handoff off right tackle for Port, tripped up as they cross the 40-yard line, going to bring up 3rd down for the Raiders.
Nick Kamar again on the carry for the Raiders. You mentioned Kingston. Yeah, their varsity program has struggled through the years, but boy, they have 38 kids on the field right now for D2, and you hope that transitions into the high school level, that the kids are still enthused about playing. In Port Jervis, football is king, and it's king whether you're on D2 or on the varsity, and it's always something we've been very blessed with in PJ.
3rd and 4, some communication problems in the backfield. Missed a handoff. Quarterback cannot get back to the line of scrimmage, so not sure what the confusion was, but that was number 11, Justin Jones, who has to keep it himself, but they will be stopped short of the first down, lose about a yard, so it's 4th and 5. They hurry up, and looks like they're going to try to get this 4th down play off quickly. We got 30 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Rivera back again to punt for the Raiders.
This will be their second punt of the afternoon. Good snap. He's going to fake it, and he's running around the left side. He's got plenty of room. There goes Rivera across his midfield. He's got a first down. 45, 40, 35 down the sideline. He goes out of bounds at the Kingston 30-yard line.
Great play call for the Raiders. Great play call. Rivera takes the snap, takes a deep breath, and says to himself, wait a minute. The whole left side is wide open, and he took full advantage of it. Great blocks at the line of scrimmage, but it was all Rivera on the outside. Takes it deep into Kingston territory. It'll be 1st and 10 Raiders at the Kingston 31. Wow, what a play.
So with 10 seconds left in the first quarter, it's the Port Jervis special teams. We've seen Rivera kick a 2-point conversion. Now picks up a big gain off the fake punt on 4th and 5. So clock stop, 10 seconds. Could be the final play of the first quarter. This time they're going to hand off tackle right. Stumbles to the line of scrimmage. Might be the final play of the first quarter. And that was number 10, Isaiah Green.
And Green tripped on the turf.
Clocks say zeros. The referees will whistle that the last play of the first quarter. So after 1 quarter of play in the Division II championship game here at Marlboro, Port Jervis Raiders lead Kingston Tigers by a score of 8-0.
So Port Jervis, man, they look strong and on the line of scrimmage. Great blocks. They run that tight offensive set where those linemen are toe-to-toe, and it shows because it gives those running backs a chance to kind of just, you don't really have to worry about picking a hole. You just see where the openings happen, and then you go and take advantage of it. But to be successful like that, your offensive running backs, they have to have football smarts, and we've seen that today.
Yeah, absolutely. Port Jervis offense, again, you've already put 8 points on the board, but let's credit their defense. Kingston has 2 possessions, no first downs. So Port Jervis defense, which comes into this game giving up just 28 points in 10 games this season. They got a shutout going after 12 minutes of football. Offense back on the field. It's 2nd and 9 from the Kingston 30-yard line.
Remember, Kingston started off by going for it on that 4th down, which, that definitely did not bode well for them. So Kingston shot themselves in the foot with that. Port Jervis came ready to play. These kids, I talked to them before the game. They were all complaining how cold it was. But when I asked them how excited they were to play for a championship, they got so excited they didn't care what the temperature was.
2nd and 9 from the 30. This time the first pass. He drops back the pass. He's under heavy pressure. Escapes. Scrambles out. A lot of missed tackles. Gets back to the 25-yard line. Wow, that's Justin Jones dropping back. It looks like he was going to uncork the first pass for the Raiders, but then again under heavy pressure and somehow still turns a negative play into a positive play. Brings up 3rd down and about 5.
His older bro is sophomore Maddox McCormick for the Raiders, and Jones showed some great poise there at the quarterback position. Not only that, but at the end, did you see him stretch out for that extra yard or two?
Is that football IQ that we're talking about? I formation for the Raiders. 3rd and 5. This time they're going to run it left. Again.
That's Green again, isn't it? Oh, it's Kamar this time.
Kamar.
And, he didn't trip over the turf. His feet tripped over themselves. I think he was going a little too fast for his spikes there.
Not the first time. We've seen that happen a number of times early here for some of the Port Jervis running backs, just before they even are getting hit by a Kingston defensive player. They're stumbling on this artificial turf field here at Marlboro High School. 4th down and 6. Port Jervis, we'll see again. Well, if they'll decide to put Jones, put the ball up.
They got 7 in the backfield, too. Let's see if they maybe go a halfback option pass.
Snap. They pitch it this time to Rivera. He cuts it back inside. The big guy dancing through. He's tackled down about the 26-yard line. Looks like it might be.
I don't think he's got it. I think he's going to be short.
So the Kingston Tigers defense comes up with the stand that they need with 10 minutes, 28 seconds to go before halftime. They'll take over 1st and 10 on their own 21-yard line. So they gave the ball to Rivera with the pitch trying to go outside. He cut it back inside. And again, ultimately falls about a half a yard short of the first down.
He was short. They didn't even think about bringing the chains out to measure. The ref said, nope, it's going to be a turnover on downs. So Kingston will get the ball back. But, boy, they're facing that tough Port Jervis defense.
So Cole Ferraro, the QB for the Tigers, under center again. 1st and 10. This time they go to the pitch. Trying to go right. Nothing doing. 4 or 5 black jerseys there for the Raiders defense. Number 23 gets the carry. That's Elias Etuck, but he's stopped before he gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Awesome open field tackle by 31, Carter Williams for Port Jervis. He's playing the end or tackle position depending on the situation, and he just bull rushed in there, and he took the ball carrier down for a small loss. That's a good surge for the Port defense.
So 2nd down and 12 for the Kingston Tigers. 9 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the second quarter. Inside, a handoff to right side. Breaks through the line of scrimmage. Gets outside. Oh, falls loose, fumble. We'll see. It's at the 25-yard line. Port Jervis football.
And that's 14. Nick Kamar on the pickup for the Raiders.
Tuck was hit. Etuck was hit again behind the line of scrimmage. Actually, he got through, broke a couple of tackles, but then brought down, coughs up the football. And the Port Jervis defense, they've done it all season long, comes up with a big play, setting up their offense in Kingston territory. They'll come on the field 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line.
There's something that Port's going to have to keep an eye on for the Raiders. That's Justin Jones. He went to the sidelines. What looks like appears to be a lower left leg injury. He's kind of hobbling off there. So the Raiders missing Jones now to start this offensive set. And we'll see that means that Hendry will have to drop into the quarterback spot.
1st and 10 Raiders on the Kingston 25, full house backfield. You get the snap down. It's a handoff to Rivera. Off tackle right. He stood up. He gets about a yard, 2nd and 9.
Yeah, that center to snap to Hendry, just a little off, as Hendry was the backup quarterback. Jones makes his way back onto the field now. He's fixing his lower left sock, so hopefully it's a uniform issue, not a leg issue. But, boy, he's got a little limp in his giddy up there.
Yeah, I would think that I'm suspecting there's something. He's not feeling 100%. Socks might be a little too tight, but, again, he's back on the field. Tough kid that he is. 2nd and 9 for the Raiders on the Kingston 24-yard line. They're going to run left. Dancing inside. Rivero's outside the lead block, but they cut it back inside. It's going to bring up 3rd down.
Nice blocks downfield for the Raider front. 99, George Torres with a nice block.
So this Port Jervis offense, they've been knocking on the door in this first half.
Well, they got those big guys up front. Number 12 for the Raiders, Nathaniel Keys, had a nice block on that play too.
So we'll call it 3rd and 5, ball at the 19-yard line. Full house backfield. Handoff, Rivera trying to get outside. Stiff arms one guy. 2, breaks 3 tackles. But finally stood up.
Oh, man.
He is a beast. Finally, number 77, Cameron Lyons.
That Lyons is a big kid. He had to come out of nowhere to get Rivera down. And Rivera was held at the shoelaces. But, man, he shed blocks in that backfield like crazy.
I'm not sure who broke through first, but Rivera had to give a stiff arm immediately as soon as he got the handoff. But it's going to be 4th down and, say, 4 maybe. He only picks up a yard, a tough yard on that last carry.
You know, Port's up 8-0 here in the second quarter, 7 minutes, 40 seconds remaining. They would sure like to keep the ball and punch one in here before halftime.
Jones under center. Eye backfield, handoff left side. He's got some running room. He's 10, 5 out of bounds, first down. Raiders going to be first and goal at the Kingston 7-yard line.
And that's go-to Kmart right there. Nick Kmart, 14, with the big fourth down conversion for the Raiders. Boy, you know what? Port's been playing good football, but that play really was a play that Port needed to make. They need to continue to hold this ball and get the ball maybe into the end zone in the next couple plays. With big play, I'll go for it on fourth down, and a great run by Kmart.
Coach Kmart had confidence, especially on his left side of their offensive line. He's been liking to run that way. Picks up a big first down, first and goal Raiders. Handoff this time, Rivera going the right side. Rivera into the Kingston secondary, reaching out just short. It's going to be inside the 1-yard line. Again, these football players, they know what to do, you know, whether it's reaching for a first down or in that case, reaching for the goal line. Rivera comes up just short, picks up about 5.5 yards. It'll be second and goal from the 1.
I remember back in the day, if we were our age back in the day playing football like that, stretching the ball out like that, the coach would still be yelling at us, tuck that ball in. But Rivera can hold on to that ball with one hand.
This time, Rivera the lead blocker. They run off tackle right side. They come close, but they are stopped short. Kingston defense digging in.
That was Griffin on the carry. They trying to go off that right side. You know, you mentioned it before, Christian. Port's left side of the line has been making some big holes. The right side on that play, not so much.
So that time they did not give the ball to big number 7. But we'll see. Third and goal from the 1. Number 7, he's lined up in a wing position, I formation. They're going to run it right. And Kingston defense stuffs it.
Oh, you know what they say, Christian? Defenses win championships. And Kingston defense comes to play on that play. A loss on the play for Port Jervis. And just like that, Port Jervis now is facing another fourth down.
Started with first and goal to 6. They got 5.5 on first down, but the last 2 have been stoned by this Kingston defense. Again, the last 2 they've tried to run right. We'll see if they go back to the left side. Ball is placed right in the middle of the field, so we'll see which way they decide to go. Full house backfield. Fourth down and goal. Quarterback fakes it. He's rolling to the right side. He's going to go in untouched. Touchdown, Jones. They fake the pitch. Bootleg to the left side. Port Jervis scores their second TD of the game.
It's always the pretty boy. It's always the quarterback, right? What a great call for Port Jervis, and Jones sold it so well. You know, he was tripped up a few plays ago, came to the sidelines, but boy, he's come back and he's led that team down to the goal line, and he scores on the quarterback bootleg. Good play call. Great finish by the Raiders, and just like that, the Raiders are up 14, and they look to go for 2 more as Rivera sets up for the extra point, 2-point kick.
Jones goes in from 4 yards out on fourth and goal. Rivera, the 2-point try. This one is up, and it is good. He splits the uprights, just gets it over. Make it 16-0 Raiders. 5 minutes, 30 seconds to go in the second quarter. So the Kingston Tigers defense, they got tough, but again, a great call. You see that call often in youth football, but it was perfect timing for it. Again, if those defensive ends, if you've been running inside, they forget that they have containment, and they did the old bootleg back the other way, and Jones goes in untouched around the left side of the line of scrimmage, and 16-0. Port Jervis leads 5.5 minutes to go before halftime.
Oh, man, great series, great play calling. Port faced 2 fourth downs on that drive, and they converted both, the big one at the end.
So Kingston offense still looking for their first down of the game. They have it 1st and 10 on their own 35. It's Cole Ferraro, quarterback. He's going to call his own number. He loses control of the football, tackled behind the line of scrimmage.
That was Jonathan Andriak on the tackle for the Raiders. Yeah, a little miscommunication between the center and quarterback on that play.
So it's 16-0 Raiders coming up on 5 minutes left into the second quarter. Talked about it before the game. Both of these teams with 9-1 records.
Defensive substitution for the Raiders now. Jules Shaw in at left defensive end for the Raiders. So Port Jervis getting their whole roster of players out there when they can. And boy, you want to be on that Port defense, don't you? Those guys know what they're doing out there.
2nd and 12 for the Tigers. Runner player in motion. Ferraro throws a pass. It's complete, a little hook and ladder. It was a completed pass They tried the old hook and ladder early in the game. It did not necessarily work. The pass worked for a gain of about 6 yards, but then the old hook, about 5 yards, and then he tried to pitch it to the running back. But
what a fast transition, too. Whoever caught that ball, I don't think his feet touched the ground before he pitched it. But the Raider defense was there. Xavier Cawthon, 21 for the Raiders. He was on top of things and made sure the ball wouldn't go any further downfield.
So it looks like we'll call it 3rd and 7 for the Tigers.
Might have been their biggest play so far this afternoon.
Ferraro now in the shotgun, first time all day. Drops straight back. He's under heavy pressure. Rolls out to his left towards the Port Jervis sideline. He's scrambling, trying to get outside. Cannot do it. Great pursuit by the Port Jervis defense. And he'll pick up a few. It's going to bring up 4th down and about 4. He gets to the 41-yard line.
Liam Doyle along with Jones on the tackle for the Raiders. Way to stretch it out there, Raider defense.
Ferraro's he's a stocky quarterback again, so it took a couple of Port Jervis defenders to take him down, but that they did, and he's short of a first down.
Yeah, you could talk about a quarterback there at Ferraro. He's got the towel in his pant leg. He's got the wristbands. He's got the score wristband on his other arm. He's all NFL out there right now.
So the ball, it's 4th and 4. It's on the far hash towards the Port Jervis sideline. Again, Ferraro this time under center. Kingston still looking for their first down. He fakes the pitch, drops back. Ferraro again under pressure, heaves it to the right side. Over his intended receiver, number 28, Jesse Schoonmaker. So the Port Jervis defense, again, comes up with the stop they need. They'll take over 1st and 10 on the Kingston 41-yard line. 2 minutes, 55 seconds to go in the second quarter. They lead 16-0.
Boy, that was all 11-man football defensively for the Raiders. Doyle with a rush on Ferraro. Ferraro thought he slipped it, but he then stepped into the pocket, and I think he misjudged the distance on the throw, so he overthrew his receiver. But the Raider defense holds, and Port gets the ball 1st and 10. Where is that, Christian? At the 46?
41-yard line.
41. Wow, great field position for the Raiders. Raiders looking for their first ever Youth Football League championship.
Whistles on the play before they snap the football.
Speaking of whistles, this game has been well played and clean. No penalties.
Take a look at the American flag blowing. It's really whipping around at Port Jervis. Well, just as I said that, it blew right through here the press box, knocking some papers away. But so Port Jervis is going. It's at their back right now, so they're going with the wind. Again, 2:55 to go before halftime. They lead 16-0.
So here's one of the benefits of youth football is the referees are out there not only to make sure the game is played well, but it looks like there was an equipment issue with a player. So referee stepped up and snapped the chin strap.
1st and 10. Handoff over the right side. They'll pick up about 3 or 4 yards before a pile of bodies there at about the 37-yard line. 2nd and 7 for the Raiders. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the second quarter. They lead 16-0. And Port Jervis offense has been on the field quite often. Again, Kingston haven't gotten a first down yet. They're sweeping it left. A lot of running room for Port Jervis. Flag comes out.
You know, I mentioned no flags on the plays, and the next thing you know, here comes the flags. I know my buddy Kevin Halpenny's probably laughing right now. Said that a couple times this year during the football high school broadcast. Come back to haunt me.
So the Jones rush looks like it will be coming back.
It's the first time Port ran that motion speed sweep. I think one of those inside guys might have got a hand out for a hold, and I think that's what they're going to call here. Yep, it was a hold against Port. So first time Port's being moved back this afternoon on penalty. But back really is not much of a huge word as the ball be set at the Marlboro 46-yard line. I asked you before what the down marker was, and you said the 41. I said 46. Maybe I just knew.
I think you might. You're clairvoyant there, Mr. Fagione. I think
there's only one wizard in the broadcast.
So we're coming up, clock running around 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. It's been all Port Jervis here in the first half. They lead 16-0. They have 2nd down and 16 from the 46 of Kingston. Man in motion. This time it's Kingston really Port's trying to get outside to get a block. And then they throw the ball, and now the flags come out. A lot of flags come out. Looks like Rivera threw a block. They may call it, back 10, 20 years ago, that might be a legal block, but the old blindside crackback block draws the penalty flags all the time at any level of football these days.
A.J. Otero, number 20 for Kingston. Yeah, Rivera hit him on the side. And in youth football, that right there, you're going to get called for that every day. Yeah, back in the day, I know one thing. Coaches get me a sub sandwich after the game for a good block.
Yeah, so again, 2 penalties in a row going to be marked off against Port Jervis.
Which those penalties have nothing to do with the commentary from a certain color commentator. Nothing to do whatsoever.
So far, it's been all Port Jervis. Right now, again, their offense is on the field, but this game is in the hands of their defense. They're up 16 points. They've only given up 28 all season. So
well, they're going to give up 28 yards on this drive. Those 2 penalties in a row. This ball will be marked way back. So Port started this drive at Marlboro's 41. They're back now to their Port 36 with a second down. They got a long ways to go here.
So some quick math. That's 14, and it's 2nd and 33. You can check my math, but 2nd and 33 from their own 36. They need to get to the Kingston 31. Try to go outside, right side. Again, a couple of tackles missed, but again, finally smothered down at the 34-yard line, kind of where the play started, coming up on 1 minute and 20 seconds to go.
Well, you wonder if Port Jervis, that was a broken play. Jones did what he could in the backfield, but you also wonder if Port's just kind of playing the clock out here. Port Jervis is up 16-0, 1 minute and what do we got, about 10 seconds left here? 1:10 left in the half. So Port will be and Port's going to use a timeout now because they know it's 3rd down. They got 3rd down, and if they don't get the million yards they need for the 1st down, they'll be faced with a 4th down. But they also want to use the clock as best they can on the 3rd to 4th down if they don't convert.
3rd and 36, we're going to call it. 1 minute, 7 seconds to go in the first half. Port Jervis on top, 16-0. Kingston has yet, on the offensive side of the football, hadn't gotten a 1st down yet. Port Jervis defense has been tough. They've been tough all season long, and in this championship game, they're doing the same thing. Again, Ben Rivera, 2 extra points. And the Port Jervis offense has done enough. Very good on 4th down. And it's good to see as we look across this football field to see a lot of red and black in the crowd for Port Jervis. So that's a long trip from Port Jervis to Marlboro High School. But they love their football, as you mentioned earlier, Tom, and they've come out here to support this team, looking to become the first ever Port Jervis youth football team to claim a championship.
And they know it. These kids know what's at stake, and they came prepared. You know, timeout right now, there's music playing over the PA, and you see the kids on the sideline dancing and having a good time. And our Raiders are having a good time, too. But, boy, they had a look of seriousness on their faces. They had a seriousness like they forgot to bring their homework to school with them.
3rd and 36 for the Raiders. On their own 34. They're pitching it out right left. Rivera. He's stuck in the backfield. But he's stuck, and it will take about 7 or 8 white jerseys, and he's still standing. They finally blow the whistle for his forward momentum is stopped. But,
so game reset. Kingston now says, well, we're going to use a timeout, and it's smart because now it'll be 4th down for Port Jervis. 4th and, as I mentioned, a gamillion. 54.9 seconds left. So Port Jervis has the option. The only option really is they have to punt the ball here. You do not want to try to go for it when you got so many yards to go to get the 1st down and give Kingston field position. But on the other side of it, Christian, that Port defense has been lights out.
Remember what Port did, though? I'm not sure. I don't think it's coming here, but Port Jervis has punted twice, or at least they showed they were going to punt twice. Rivera punted the 1st time. The 2nd time they were going to punt, he says, no, I'm going to call my own number, and they call a fake punt. He gains about 30 yards, but they need about 36 here, and I do not expect Coach Kmar to give him the green light for that.
There's one other guy who's saying that out loud right now, and that's Coach Mike Ferrara for Kingston. He's like, guys, keep your eyes open on 7 in that backfield.
And again, Rivera back in punt formation, back on his own 27-yard line. Snap is good, fields it, and this time he will punt it away. Good job, because Port Jervis roll all the way down, still rolling. What a punt. It will go out of bounds at the 31-yard line, right where the 1st down marker was. So great job by Rivera. 47 seconds to go.
The chain crew's happy they don't have to move. So the game reset. Kingston gets the ball 1st and 10 at their own 31-yard line. So they got quite a ways to go. They're trailing 16-0. Port's defense has been so tough all afternoon. And I'm sure right now, and you could see it, they're coming out, they're pumped up. Jonathan Andriak's getting his hands in the air. He's like, come on, guys, let's go.
So it's 1st and 10 Kingston. They have yet to get a first down in the first half.
Front 5 for Port Jervis on a knee, now into their 3-point stances. They're ready to go. They're hungry for the ball.
Ferraro in the shotgun. He's got 3 receivers to his right. 1 running back. He drops straight back. Throws it straight down the middle into coverage. Oh, a big hit, but a catch is made. Nice throw and a nice catch in coverage by number 7, Miles Botin. So Ferraro chucks it up there, and they complete it up to the 46-yard line. So a gain of 15 on the play. 41 seconds to go. Their first down of the half.
They're going to use
timeout on the field. Port Jervis defense will go huddle over by their coaches to see, make sure that no one gets behind you at this point.
But Miles Botin with a great catch. Jones hits him from behind. Good, clean, legal tackle. But what concentration from Botin on the catch. And the big guy himself, Cole Ferraro, this quarterback, this kid, he's got no worries about slinging that ball downfield.
Not at all. Again, so their best offensive play of the game for Kingston comes with 41 seconds to go in the second quarter. Tigers trailing 16-0. 1st and 10 on their own 46-yard line.
I like this quarterback. He looks like he could slide up there and be a right guard if he needed to.
Ferraro getting the shotgun. He's got twin receivers to his left and right. Port Jervis secondary. We have motion before the play. They'll whistle that one dead. Slot receiver move for Kingston is going to cost them 5 yards. So Botin, who just made a nice catch, again, a little too anxious on that one, and he'll get flagged for 5 yards. It's going to be 1st and 15 for the Tigers. Port Jervis having 2 deep safeties, again, as they're guarding against the long pass.
And Ferraro, the quarterback, he's talking to the guys in Kingston's huddle. He's like, come on, guys, we got to do better than that. This kid's tough. I like the way he's swagger on the field. This kid he's ready to go. And on the other side, Ben Rivera is a middle linebacker. He's like, all right, I'm cool. Let's just go. Let's play some football.
1st and 15 again. Ferraro straight drop. This time throws right down the field. He's got a receiver. He's got him connected to the 40-yard line. Brought down the 38-yard line. Good tackle. But that's Schoonmaker again. This time they overthrew him early, but Ferraro just chucking it down the right sideline. Gets behind the Port cornerback. And Kingston will use another timeout, 33 seconds to go. So
compliments to Cameron Lyons, 77, the offensive tackle for Kingston. He made a nice seal block on a blitzing Ben Rivera up the middle, and that gave Ferraro the time he needed to chuck that downfield. But, boy, talk about a catch by Schoonmaker in the open field. This is D2. These kids are 10 and 11. That's some big-time Friday night football there.
Yeah, so right now it looks like Kingston is definitely moving the football through the air a lot better than they've done on the ground in this first half. So they only have 33 seconds to go. They have 1st and 10 on the Port Jervis 38-yard line. Ball is placed on the far right hash.
Now, Port's defense, it's tough because you have to play a prevent, you have to play a cushion, but you also, you got to make the tackles and make the plays, and that's what Port's doing right now. So it may seem like they're giving up a lot, but got to measure it. Got to measure it in that there's 33 seconds left. It's 1st and 10. I think Port's going to tighten it up just a little bit on their coverage in this play.
Ferraro in the shotgun, 1st and 10. He's got Schoonmaker wide to his right, Botin in the slot to his left. Again, he's going the right side, looking for Schoonmaker, and overthrows him. Good coverage on the play by the Port Jervis defense. Going to bring up 2nd and 10. Again, 29 seconds to go.
Ferraro can throw the ball. His dad's the coach, but his assistant coach is Scott Rickardson. And you might remember that name. He used to chuck the pigskin when he played back in his old high school days. He's currently the head football coach at Red Hook. They like to throw the ball now and then, although I didn't get a chance to see them this year. And but these kids, 10 and 11-year-old, throwing the ball, I love it. I am loving it.
2nd and 10 for the Tigers. 29 seconds to go. Ferraro shotgun, straight drop. This time goes over the middle, looking for his intended receiver. Looked like it was Luca Rizza.
No, that was Carter Rickardson.
Carter Rickardson, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was Rickardson, number 1.
Oh, yeah, Luca Rizza 0. Okay, so Rickardson over the middle, didn't get his head around. Ferraro threw it quick.
And the defense for Port Jervis, that ball was free game, and it kind of let that hit the turf. Third down now and 10, 25. Man, these quick plays, not taking much time off the clock. If Kingston doesn't play it well, Port will get the ball back.
Ferraro shotgun, Schoonmaker wide right, Bowton. This time he's going to call his own number. Quarterback draw, Ferraro, stiff arm. The big guy rumbles down, picks up about 4 yards, and the clock is ticking, 16, 15 seconds. They scramble to get the ball placed. They're going to try to get one more play off. They cannot spike it. It's fourth, the clock is still ticking. 7 seconds, 6, 5. Referee finally puts it down. I'm not sure they're going to get this play off. 2 seconds, 1. And they spike it on fourth down, and that's going to end the half. You knew what he wanted to do, but a lot of confusion. And whether he spikes it or not, time runs out. So we go to halftime. Raiders withstand the best showing of the Kingston offense. They hold. Kingston moves the ball down to the 35-yard line, but that's where that drive ends. Port Jervis on top at halftime, 16-0 over Kingston. We are back at Marlboro High School. You're listening to Port Jervis Youth Football on WDLC Country Radio. Halftime, Raiders on top of the Kingston Tigers by a score of 16-0. They are 2 quarters away from claiming their first ever Orange County Youth Football League championship. 24 minutes of football away. Again, they've been dominant in this first half, offensively and defensively, Tom. Special teams as well.
No doubt about it. You talk about a dominant performance. Port Jervis came out in their first series. They were flat. They handed the ball off. They had a 3-and-out it, and it looked like Port just kind of had to get the cobwebs out and kind of get the nerves out. Kingston did the same. So it's like, okay, both teams felt each other out, and then it settled in, and Port Jervis knew they needed to establish the run, and they did. Diversifying the handoffs between a whole host of running backs, but just establishing that line of scrimmage. And even at this youth level, high school level, on a Friday night, if you own the line of scrimmage, you own the football game. And we're seeing that here in this youth football contest with Port Jervis. They have owned the line of scrimmage on offense, which has given them the ability to move the ball downfield. And even on their first score, Christian, that first score, it was Kmar that was taking it into the end zone, and he fumbles. But Port had the wherewithal with oh, God, I'm drawing a blank here. Number 10 for the Raiders.
Isaiah Green?
Isaiah Green. I was going to call him Andre Griffith. Isaiah Green, who picked up the ball in the end zone. So smart play by the Raiders to get their first score, but it was all predicated on the fact that they own the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, all season long, they've gotten all 3 facets of their football team, offense, defense, special teams, contributing. They all complement one another. And again, before that first touchdown that they scored, it was their defense who came up big on fourth down when Kingston decided to go for it. They got stopped at midfield. Port Jervis offense takes over. They score, and again, Ben Rivera, their triple threat, kicks the extra point. 2 points you get for that here at the D2 level. So they go up 8-0 again. And then their offense, which has been solely on the ground, down the field, they finally score after Kingston holds them, stops them one time, but they finally break through again, and Rivera again puts the 2-point extra point on top of that.
And one of the biggest plays in the first half was Ben Rivera, was the fourth down for Port Jervis, when Rivera set the punt, and he sees the whole left side of the field open, says, hey, I'm going to take this, and brings down the Raiders deep into Kingston territory. Smart play by Rivera, smart play by the Raiders. But they have really controlled things offensively. And that defense for Port Jervis throughout the first half, they were lights out against Kingston. Late in the second quarter, Kingston started mounting a bit of a passing game, which Port Jervis needs to take notice of. This kid Ferraro can throw the ball, and he's not afraid to chuck it downfield.
Yeah, it was on fourth down and goal from the 4-yard line. It was Justin Jones who bootlegs for the second Port Jervis touchdown, and that gives them the cushion now at 16-0. But you're absolutely right. It was Kingston who finally goes to the air and completed a couple of passes late in that first half, got them down inside Port Jervis territory. So you have to expect that Cole Ferraro from Kingston is going to be throwing the football again. They're down 16. And we'll see what happens here in the second half. But plenty of sponsors that have really supported this Port Jervis youth football program all season long.
You know, Christian, one of the great things about Port Jervis football, you and I, we talked off air. We talk all the time. You know, you being a Middletown guy, I said it last night in the high school broadcast. I said there'd be a civil war in the press box, a Middletown guy and a Port Jervis guy. No, we get along great because you know what? We love football.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Port Jervis football, Middletown football, high school football, youth football. But you know what really is a great thing about, especially Port Jervis football, is the way the community really comes and supports Port Jervis football at the high school level and here at the youth level. We have so many local businesses who are great sponsors of football. I'll rattle off a few. Christian, you can jump in right after me. 3 Ninjas Express, thank you guys for your support. Art Trovey and Sons, our assemblyman, and as he likes to go by, America's favorite assemblyman, Carl Brabenick, Burger King, Cornerstone Family Health, Cuttabackville Service Center, the Dairy Queen, my buddy DJ Rockefeller, Edward Jones Financial Advisors, and that's Yolanda Emerson, and the Elks Lodge, always helping out and supporting youth football.
Family Orthodontics, Gray Parker Funeral Home, John Coda and Son Supply, John Fuller, Johnson and Conroy Agency, Knight Moody Funeral Home, Lakewood Estates, Laurel Grove Greenhouses, Napa Auto Parts, Never Sink Lumber, and the Orange County legislator standing to my left, Tom Fagione. Again, no bigger supporter of Port Jervis football than my partner here. The Port Jervis Auto Mall, and you can take it from there, Tom.
RC Lane Incorporated, Summerelli Trucking, State Farm Insurance, that's James Demmer, agent, Summit Research Labs, Tanky's Garage, our good buddy Tom Sexton, Tom's Automotive Repair, and the guys and gals, the best of the best, VFW Post 161, because without them, without our great veterans, none of this happens. There's no football, there's no America, so thank our veterans. And Christian, you know, you and I, of course, you being a veteran yourself, and all the work you do for all the veterans throughout Orange County. You know, Veterans Day was just last week, and we were blessed on the high school level to have a game on Veterans Day, and I was kind of torn. I'm like, you know, Veterans Day is a day where we celebrate our veterans. We had to do the football game. The rain forecast moved the game till 10 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't get to the ceremony in Port Jervis, but you know what, man? Our community came together. Last week's broadcast, we gave out shout-outs throughout the whole game to Port Jervis area veterans, family members, aunts, uncles, granddads, and everybody. And it was a great way of saluting our veterans. I got choked up talking about it. And I know you're so heavily involved with our veterans here in Orange County, so it's always great to have the VFW supporting us. And boy, you get a chance wherever you are, Port Jervis or anywhere, you see a vet, don't wait for Veterans Day. You thank that guy or that gal when you see them.
Thanks so much, Tom. And I'll tell you a story about, again, our love of football, which we just spoke about, especially at this level, youth football, high school football. But when I was deployed to Iraq back in 05 and 06, again, now I'm a Middletown guy. Now I live in Middletown. I lived there for about 20 years. But I grew up on Long Island. So when I would call or get the opportunity to call, and it was tough back in 05, 06 in Baghdad, it was just tough times. But when I would get a chance to call or I'd write a letter or get on the computer and send an email, which was, you know, you never knew when you would get that opportunity. But one of the first things I did, I would write my father and I'd say, how did my alma mater, Farmingdale High School, how did they do? Because I've had 2 years without any high school football. And I always wanted to know what happened. Not even know what the Giants were doing, but what was Farmingdale, how'd they do? And so that's how much I love football. And, again, those are the things, though, because of the veterans in our country that enable us to do these things, you know, see this great scene that we have in front of us here, youth football game, championship game, stands are full. It's just a great day here for this. And, again, because of the veterans, as you mentioned, we get to do these things.
And we got some great kids here. You know, we just listed all of the sponsors that help make Port Jervis football a reality, both at the varsity level and the youth level here on radio and in our community. I got to tell you, this whole list of people, as we read these businesses off, I know they're kids who have played or their daughters who have cheered. And I tell you what, that is a connection in Port Jervis that is so great. I'm sure in Farmingdale it's the same, and even over in Middletown too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a little rivalry between these two teams.
A little Port Middletown thing, something about it, I don't know.
Yeah, and you guys have that coveted bell. It's painted red.
It is back home where it belongs, so at least for now, right?
All right, we'll get back to this game. We're just about to get started here in the third quarter. 16-0 Port Jervis. Kingston's offense is on the field. 1st and 10 from the 35. Ferraro, again, he'll throw it. First down, they throw it outside, and they pick up a wide receiver screen. It goes to Carter Ricketson, and again, just as we thought, they come out firing through the air to start the third quarter.
Fired up on that tackle was Xavier Cawthon for the Raiders, number 21. Now, how about this? He is the youngest of 5 brothers, all who have gone through the Port Jervis youth football system.
That's amazing. Again, I was one of 5 brothers, but not all of my brothers played football back in Farmingdale. The Farmingdale Hawks, I played youth football way back when. But they pick up, we'll call 5 yards on first down, 2nd and 5 from the 40, Ferraro under center. It's time to go back to the ground. Handoff, but nothing doing. Big hit off the side. But keeping his legs moving. You got to credit number 23. That's Elias Etuck. who keeps the legs churning, and a play that was stopped at the line of scrimmage. He picks up 2 tough yards. It's going to be 3rd and about 3.
Mason Maestro for the Raiders on the bottom of that tackle. So Port Jervis there, first play for Kingston in the air, and you think, okay, Kingston's going to the air like they did in the end of the second quarter. That time they run the ball. That was a nice run. 3rd and short now for the Tigers.
So the ball will be at the 42-yard line, 3rd and 3. Ferraro under center. He's going to call his own number. Looks like quarterback sneak. He barrels through. The big guy gets close to the first down marker. We'll see where they spot it. Looks like it might be just enough. It's right on the 45-yard line. So the big guy, he takes a few hits, but it gets just enough to move the chains. 1st down and 10 for the Tigers. 10 minutes, 20 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Port Jervis on top, 16-0 in the Division II Orange County Youth Football Championships right here at Marlboro High School. Sun is out, and you can see the teams in the background. The D3 teams waiting for this game to end. It's Valley Central versus the town of Newburgh. They'll play for the Division III championship after this one. Ferraro, 1st and 10, drop back. He goes to his right side again, looking down the field, looking for Schoonmaker. Overthrows him. Good coverage on the play by the Port Jervis secondary.
That's a 25-yard pass in the air for an 11-year-old kid, 10, 11-year-old kid. This kid chucks the ball, but I like that play before that, though. He kept it himself. He got stopped at the line of scrimmage, so he dips his shoulder down and says, hey, I'm just going to keep going.
I mean, both of these teams have had outstanding seasons. So, you know, Kingston hasn't been in this position, all year. I mean, except they lost to Middletown, but they're down 16-0. So these guys are used to winning. The competitive spirit comes out, and they don't want to go down easy here. Ferraro on the center, man in motion. Pitch goes outside as they try to get out on the left side. Good job by the Port Jervis defense, swarming. Ball comes loose, but I think they've blown the play dead. So that play will lose about 2 yards. They pitched it outside to Botin, but that defense of right side of the Port Jervis defense did a great job.
Mason Townsend for the Raiders at the bottom of that pile. Kingston, that was their first attempt to go outside with the running game in the second half here. Early on in the first half, they had success, but Port Jervis is definitely, their ground defense is strong.
3rd and 12 for the Tigers. Ferraro in the shotgun. Takes a snap, looks left, under pressure. Breaks a couple of tackles. There goes Ferraro over midfield. Brought down as he crosses into Port Jervis territory. Picks up about 7 yards. It's going to be 4th and 4.
You got to like this kid, Ferraro. He is tough. He's big. He's strong.
Trying to think of somebody that he reminds me of.
He's kind of got like a Tim Tebow
to
him.
That's very
He does
good.
kind of throw from the side, but it's his swagger, too. He's like broad-chested and big-shouldered, and he's like, dude, I'm just taking this thing, and I'm going wherever I want with it.
So big play here in the 3rd quarter. Coming up on 8.5 minutes to go. Ferraro's got 3 receivers to his right. One in the backfield. He's under center. Throws a quick wide receiver screen. Picked off! Ben Rivera. Number 7 reads the play, picks off the wide receiver's screen. My goodness, he does everything. 1st and 10, Port Jervis on the turnover.
Christian, you mentioned it in the first half about Ben Rivera. His football IQ. He knew what was going on that play. He jumped that route, and the only thing keeping him from a pick 6 was that he tripped when he caught that ball, but he knew where that was going right from the get-go, and a huge turnover and opportunity for the Raiders.
An incredible play. Ferraro under center has 3 receivers to his right, trying to get the ball out really quick, but Rivera just stepped in front of that bullet of a pass, picks it off, sets up the Port Jervis offense. 1st and 10 at the Kingston 45-yard line. They run off tackle right. They got some running room. Down the sideline they go. Ball comes loose.
Fumbles.
There's a fumble on the play as they get down to the 33-yard line. They had some running room in Kingston. So turnovers on consecutive downs. This time it's Port Jervis who coughs up the football. Giovanni Jones is the ball carrier.
He's the one who recovered for Kingston. It was Kmar on the carry. And, Kmar had some big yards down that sideline. But fumbled the ball away. Port Jervis a little bit maybe on their heels here a little bit to start this second half.
So Jones recovers the fumble. Kingston now has it 1st and 10 on their own 33. Just getting started here, 3rd quarter. Port Jervis on top 16-0.
Our guy, Big Ferraro, is back out there. He's ready to go, number 4. And Port's defense is definitely, they got to keep, Jones with that big turnover. And look at this. Ferraro in the shotgun. Wonder if he airs it out again.
1st and 10, Ferraro. They've had success throwing the ball in the air. Again, a little hook pattern. Again, he finds his man. He's corralled by a few Port Jervis defenders. But they pick up about 5-6 yards on 1st and 10. So Ferraro doesn't take long to get rid of that football.
Carter Williams and, of course, Rivera, because he's everywhere on the tackle there for Port Jervis. Substitutions now coming. Doyle to the sidelines for the Raiders. And now onto the field for the Raiders is McKinley Fuller. She's one of the 2 females on the football team.
Once again, Ferraro in the shotgun. He's had success. 2nd and 4, straight drop. Rolling to his right, under pressure. Gets the ball off in traffic.
Whoa.
Triple covered on the play. But good pressure by the defensive front from Port Jervis, getting pressure on Ferraro.
With Ferraro, he's not afraid to throw that ball anywhere. He had heavy rush on him, and he chucked that ball downfield.
Mason Townsend, one of the defensive linemen, putting pressure on Ferraro.
Harmony Gillison as well for the Raiders. She's out there.
You have to expect, depending, that's 4-down territory for these Tigers. Ferraro in the shotgun. He
looks like a high school quarterback,
got
doesn't he, back there?
Twin receivers to the left and right, straight drop. Looking to his right. He's brought down in a host of black jerseys. Rivera was the first guy who got penetration. He avoided Rivera, but then 2 of his buddies on defense come up with the sack.
That's Carter Williams. Yeah, Ben Rivera did the tsunami wave over Ferraro. Ferraro dipped down, but it was that second rush from Williams and company that sealed off the play for Kingston. As that poor defense, man, they are just something else.
It's been a great battle to watch. Big number 7 in the black and red, and then Cole Ferraro wearing the white and the maroon of Kingston.
Raiders with some
Mass
substitutions here on
for
the
the Raiders.
down.
4th down, and we'll call it 8. Ferraro shotgun, 3 receivers again to his right. Rivera's jumping out there. He does. He jumps out there early. There's Rivera. Oh, a big hit by Ben Rivera in the backfield. And he's going to bring down Ferraro. And Port Jervis offense will take over.
Oh,
Ben
Mason.
Rivera looking like,
Rivera.
I don't want to even use the words like LT out there. Oh, my goodness.
Mason Maestro is forcing Ferraro out, and he runs right into Rivera, but Rivera was running at him, and it was a collision of epic proportion. But Rivera, this kid is something special out there.
It was interesting because they had the same formation that he just picked off the pass a few plays ago. So, again, maybe suspecting that they're going to run the same play. He's in the Kingston backfield. Big hit. Kingston turns the ball over. Port Jervis offense already getting ready to go. They'll have 1st and 10 on the Kingston 33-yard line. They lead 16-0, 6:25 to go, 3rd quarter. And Ben Rivera in the backfield. He'll get the carry going left. Rivera cuts it back. There goes Rivera. Ben Rivera brings it down to the 25-yard line. He gets popped. He picks up about 8 yards.
Man, there's some big hits out there on both sides of the field. These kids came ready to play today. They know that this is a championship game, and there's some championship shots out there.
Ball is marked down. We'll call it a gain of 7. Ball is placed on the left hash. 2nd and 3 for Port Jervis.
Scoreboard's been quiet this afternoon, though, or in that second half. Port Jervis up 16-0, 5:50 here left in this 3rd quarter. Port would love to put another score up here.
High formation. They'll run left. Rivera in the wing. Big hit, but it shakes the tackle. That's number 14, Nick Kamar, breaks the tackle. Flag comes down.
Flag kind of dribbled out.
First guy to make contact, I believe, is number 85, Justice Jackson.
Nice block downfield by Frank for the Raiders. I think this might go against Kingston. What do you think there, Christian? Maybe not.
Seeing the Port Jervis offense trying to set their huddle back, so it looks like it might be against Port.
Looks like it was a block in the back. Yeah.
It'll be a 10-yard penalty.
Penalty against Port. They'll move it back to about 34.
They've done so much right today, Port. They've had a few penalties. That's about the only thing I can think of. Again, late in the first half, they had a few penalties. And again, first penalty here in the 3rd quarter. Referee will blow the whistle, and it brings up 2nd and 11. So it's a spot foul.
Great.
5.5 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Port on top, 16-0.
Great blocks up front. Sargente for the Raiders. He's out there on the offensive line. These guys have been doing a great job all afternoon.
Power I formation. They're going to run it left. Into the Kmart. Breaking tackles. There he stays on his feet. finally brought down Nick Kamar. Very elusive as he breaks into that Kingston secondary, and he'll pick up about 7 yards.
These guys are smart. They follow their blocks, and then once they get to the next level, it's all one-on-one matchups, and they pick and choose where they want to go. Kamar was smart to cut it to the right. Then he kind of swiggled it back just to the left a little bit. But got closer to the first down mark. Well, we'll give him third and about maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to follow number 7, Rivera, but then again, Kamar, good balance and picks up a good gain on second down, calls it 3rd and 3, ball at the Kingston 26. This time it's an inside handoff to Rivera, who steamrolls into the Kingston secondary, and he's going to have enough for a Port Jervis first down. This time they gave it to the first back, and Rivera, not the guy you want to see breaking through the line of scrimmage if you're playing linebacker or safety for Kingston. And
Miles
lowered the
Bowden.
shoulder, and again, we talked about Derrick Henry earlier. That was a very Derrick Henry-esque kind of run for Rivera. So Port Jervis, they're looking to really pad this 16-point lead right now, all on the ground. It's Kamar again, fighting through off tackle to the right.
Blocks downfield again by Sargente. Torres as well. And Frank, Raiders offensive line, that time held the line of scrimmage, and Kamar could get just a little, but enough to get them inside the 20, all the way down to about the 17.
What this Port Jervis, they're in total control right now, and this running game just keeps taking time off the clock. They haven't completed a pass all day, but there's been no need to. Quarterback sneak, good call, and they get a few yards, but a late penalty flag comes out. I think they're going to call maybe a legal procedure. The offensive line might not have been set. So what was a good gain with the QB sneak, I think it's going to come back, and it will. So, again, another flag on Port with 3:35 to go in the third quarter at 16-0 Raiders.
Yeah. Port very smart in this second half. First, Kingston came out. We're like, okay, got ourselves a football game. Port settled in, and this drive is showing that Port Jervis wants to keep the ball on the ground. They want to take the ticks off the clock and just control the scoreboard. I tell you what, out in the distance, you mentioned the D3 kids warm. There's some big boys out there.
Yeah, weight limit, I'm not sure. It's about 160 pounds for D3. Again, you really have some good football players. But here you go, Port Jervis. They'll keep the ball on the ground. No, they keep it on the ground, but it's the old bootleg by the quarterback. This time they go right side, run out of bounds inside the Kingston 20-yard line. So
a lot of work. A lot of work by Jones to pick up maybe 2 or 3, and they're going to mark them. Where they got him, at the 15? No, they got him at the 16, maybe only the 17. So that's a lot of work for a lot of little work or yards.
Jones ran the bootleg in the second quarter on 4th and goal from the 4 left, and he scored. This time he runs it right, picks up some yards, but it's going to bring up 3rd and about 8 for the Raiders. 2.5 minutes to go, third quarter. They're on the far hash right. Inside handoff to Rivera. Again, finishes his runs. Tackled by number 20, that's A.J. Otero.
Christian, I used to play in men's adult roller hockey league in Newburgh, Sunday morning league. Good times, lots of fun. And there was always a standing rule if the game after you, if they needed a goalie, they'd ask maybe your goalie to stick around and play. And usually it was a bribe with adult beverages. And I can tell you one thing, the D3 kids are warming up. If they look at Ben Rivera, they might ask him if he wants to stick around and play the next game as well.
4th down for the Raiders. They try to get outside left. Rivera, the lead blocker, cut back inside. Some tough running. It's going to be close. It's going to be enough, I think, for another Port Jervis first down. And it is 1st and goal for the Raiders. Ball all the way down to the Tigers' 6-yard line. Some good running again. Play designed to go outside, but a good cutback. Picks up a big first down.
That was Nick Kamar. You mentioned the run. We talked about Ben Rivera's football IQ. Nick Kamar made that cutback at just the right time to get himself past the first down marker, and it's 1st and goal Raiders.
1st and 10, 1st and goal from the 6. Full house backfield. They're going to give it to Rivera off tackle right. Rivera runs over his own player and then runs over a couple of Kingston defenders and then stretches the ball out.
Yeah, post-game interview, we're going to have to talk to, I believe that was Isaiah Green maybe for the Raiders, as Rivera barreled over him. Green didn't like that. He's like, man, Ben, you're a big dude.
Doesn't matter what jersey color they're wearing. If you're in my way, I'm going through you. So 2nd and goal for Port Jervis. Under a minute to go, third quarter. Ball on the 3 of Kingston. Handoff. Kmar. Deep in formation, I formation. He's close to the goal line, and they do not rule him in. So, again, he's got to be inside the 1.
Wow. You saw this in the game, the D1 game. They marked the ball at, the 1-inch line?
These refs are, they're going to make you earn it. They're going to make you earn it. So, it might have been, we'll see if Port Jervis decides to run another play here.
What do you think?
We've got 20
keeper?
seconds to go, third quarter. Third and
goal.
goal. They hustle to the line of scrimmage. He's got Rivera right behind him. And they give it to Rivera off tackle left side. Touchdown Raiders. 22-0. They go on top. 6 seconds to go in the third quarter. Ben Rivera. He's having himself a championship kind of game.
Well, he scored the first 2 extra point kicks. So 4 points and 2 kicks for him. And now this is his first rushing touchdown here in this game, the third for the Raiders. And he will set up for his third 2-point PAT try.
Port Jervis on top 22-0. Rivera trying to add the 2-point kick to make it a 24-0 lead. 6 seconds to go, third quarter. Here's the whistle. The kick is mighty strong and mighty straight, and it is good. 24-0 Raiders. They are 12 minutes and change away from their first ever Orange County Youth Football League championship. Right now, they're doing it on the backs of number 7, Ben Rivera. Again, we've talked about him all afternoon. He's getting a lot of support from his teammates, but he has 3 extra points he's kicked. He just scored his first touchdown of the game. He had a fake punt. That was a big play. He had an interception.
The only thing he hasn't done is come up here and call the game for us. That kid has done it all on the field, and this Port team has rallied around him. You know, Nick Kamar's done a great job of being the alternate running back there. And how about Jones at quarterback, doing a smart job, good play call, and that offensive line making good blocks. But all of that combined, how about the defense, too, for Port Jervis, shutting down Kingston?
Absolutely. You mentioned play calling. I think we got to give a lot of credit to Jason Kamar, the head coach. I mean, you know, it's hard to key on any player. Everyone's getting the touches, and they're really doing a good job of spreading the football around. Kingston will take over on the 50-yard line, so we'll explain exactly what's happening there. Handoff for the Tigers. And that's number 7, Miles Boatin, which will be the last play of the third quarter. So we're going to go to the fourth quarter, and it's 24-0. Port Jervis on top as we head to the fourth quarter. You're listening to the Orange County Youth Football League on WDLC Radio.
James M. Hendry, your hometown lawyer specializing in family law, estates, bankruptcies, criminal defense, and more. From a childhood spent at Belfield and Gwinnett to the sidelines coaching his kids and yours. From Albany Law School to his office at the historic Erie Train Depot in downtown Port Jervis, James M. Hendry supports the community that supported him. If you need legal assistance, call James M. Hendry at 845-266-6066 or visit jamesmhendry.com.
We're going back to the field for more Port Jervis football, only on WDLC Country.
We are back at Marlboro High School. Christian Farrell with Tom Fagione. The Division II Orange County Youth Football League Championship game. Fourth quarter just getting started. Right now it's Port Jervis 24, Kingston 0. Second and 10, or second and 5, I should say, for the Tigers on the Port 45-yard line. Handoff is to Miles Boatin, who busts a few tackles and gets himself about 3 yards. Going to be third down and 2. So what has just happened when Port Jervis scored their third touchdown at the D2 level or Youth Football League level, once you get an 18-point lead, they call it the mercy rule. So the Kingston gets the ball. The team that's losing gets the ball at the 50-yard line to start their next possession. Now the team that's winning, they have to make some substitutions, not on defense, but on offense. As long as they're up by 18 points, their starting quarterbacks and running backs all have to come out of the game as long as they're ahead by 18 points. So the Port Jervis defense, you'll see number 7, Ben Rivera, and his buddies are still out there. But we'll see if they get the ball on offense. They'll make some substitutions. 3rd and 3. This time they give it to Cole Ferraro, who's now in at running back. tries to go around the right side, but the Port Jervis defense.
Wow. Ferraro at fullback is an ominous force, but he met another ominous force in number 7, Ben Rivera. Assisting on the tackle for the Raiders is Zachary Light, number 34. He's an 11-year-old kid, and nice tackle to help out there. So the Raiders getting all their players out onto the field as best they can. But yeah, Ferraro, he looks like a good fullback. That, you know, you got to keep an eye on him. He can throw the ball too.
Yeah, he's the double threat. We've seen Ben Rivera all afternoon has been the triple threat. But, well, if Kingston has any chance of getting back in this game, this is a big play. 4th and 3 from the Port Jervis 42-yard line. We're under 10.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Now in at quarterback is Carter Ricketson, but Ferraro is in the backfield, so to make some changes. 4th and 3. Hand off the right side. It looks like it's Botin who will have enough for a Kingston first down and keep this Kingston offense on the field. So on 4th and 3, they convert, pick up 5 yards. It's 1st and 10 for the Port Jervis 38-yard line.
Mason Townsend on the bottom of that tackle, but not before Kingston moves the chains. And that for the Tigers at Kingston, you can't look at the scoreboard. You got to look at the action on the field. And good for Kingston. They said, hey, we got to get a first down. Let's get it, and they did.
You know, there's a lot of pride on that Port Jervis defense. They don't want to give up any points here. They're up 24, but they want to keep that shutout going. 1st and 10. Ball is on the ground. Looks like a fumble in the backfield. Looks like Kingston does recover it, but they'll lose about 2 yards on that.
Well, bad snap. You know, that center to quarterback exchange, when you have your number 1 quarterback out there, it's one thing. You bring the other quarterback in, and there's always that little timing that can be off. Port Jervis, we saw that when Jones had to come out early in the first half. Charlie Hendry came in at quarterback, and the snap was just a little off. So timing is so important in all sports, and it's in high school football. The time we always look at it as the clock. The time on the field, it's the synchronization of so much that means so much in every play.
It's interesting to see the difference between the 2 quarterbacks for Kingston in the game right now. Again, playing quarterback is Carter Ricketson, you know, a smaller guy, and then number 4 right behind him is Cole Ferraro, who's twice his size, now playing fullback. So they lose 2, and again, in trouble with the snap. Ricketson running the bootleg. Rivera out there. He gets some help, though. Nothing doing. And it was Rivera who actually makes the big hit.
You know, Kingston on that time, they didn't know what to do offensively, and they might have been better off calling a timeout. They had offensive linemen that looks like they're trying to play a strong side, weak side. And Ricketson, he came out of the huddle. He almost said to the guys, you know what you're doing?
I'm surprised that they've actually gone to Ricketson at QB when they were moving the ball, you know, pretty well with Ferraro as their quarterback, and they moved him to fullback. But
yeah, Ricketson's small back there, man.
Know, Coach Ferraro and Ricketson know more about their team than I do. So third down and about 19 yards for Kingston. It's time to give it the pitch to Bowden. Again, struggles to get to the line of scrimmage, and he'll pick up about 2 yards. So 4th and long coming up, Port Jervis. 8 minutes to go. Port Jervis on top, 24-0 here at Marlboro High School. They're 8 minutes away from winning their first ever Youth Football League championship.
One of the telltale signs here in the second half of high school or youth football is where the line of scrimmage goes. And I don't mean like where the ball is when the play starts. I'm talking about when that ball is snapped. Are your offensive linemen moving 1 or 2 yards downfield? Are they at the line of scrimmage, or are they moving back? And what we've seen on the last couple of plays from Kingston is that their linemen are actually moving back a little bit, which means the Port defense is pushing them into the backfield. And you don't have to know much about high school football, youth football, to know if that's going that way, it's not helping your offense.
Now it's Ferraro back on the center, out of the shotgun, throwing the ball down, and incomplete. So on 4th and long, they bring Ferraro back. Port Jervis defense holds once again, and that will bring their offense back on the field. 7:14 to go in this one.
Talk a little bit about the Youth Football League rules. Now that Port Jervis gets the offense on the field, certain personnel changes.
Yeah, you'll see the different quarterback, and you'll see different running backs, and I believe the wide receivers all come out. The linemen can stay, but the quote-unquote skilled position players must change. So the referees will give them some extra time to make some substitutions, but Port Jervis will have a different group of guys, kids, playing in the backfield for them. Again, they're leading 24-0, 7:14 to go here in the Division II championship. Earlier today in the Division I championship, Middletown defeated Valley Central by a score of 22-6, coached by Jose Rivera. So the Middies get the D1 championship, and then following this game, It's the town of Newburgh taking on Valley Central for the Division III championship.
You mentioned personnel changes with the score being what it is, and I'm not going to get you in trouble, but I know how they like to talk about skill players. We'll talk about that after this play. There's a lot of skill players out there for sure.
So 1st and 10, Port Jervis on their own 44-yard line. Handoff goes to Cawthon, I believe, and they run left side.
I know one thing. Back in the day, Coach Dennis Simmons was my football coach, and if he ever heard that only the skilled players had to come off the field but the linemen could stay, first of all, he'd have a great time saying, "You're darn right, we want those guys out there." But he would also tell you that it takes a lot of skill to be a right guard or a left tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben Rivera, I mean, I'm sure he, as tough a runner he is, a lot of credit goes to those guys out front opening the holes for him. 2nd and 5 after Cawthon gains 5 on 1st down. And quarterback is sacked, and he loses the ball. Cawthon alertly jumps on it. But there was pressure right up the middle.
Ferraro jumped the snap. He had that sequence timed perfectly, and he was in the backfield before the ball was. But Xavier Cawthon for the Raiders was smart enough to pick it up and keep a bad loss from becoming an even uglier loss.
Those plays are common when you bring in your second unit. Sometimes they're common, but as a coach, you like to be in this position up by 18 or more. But sometimes the plays don't look as good when the second unit comes in. So 3rd and 14 for Port Jervis, ball on their own 40-yard line. They're going to run it right into a swarm of white jerseys led by number 4. That's Cole Ferraro.
That was Cawthon again, right on the carry? No, check that. That was Colin Patterson, 5 for the Raiders on the carry. He met Ferraro right there in the line of scrimmage. So 4th down now for Port. Are they going to punt it here? Looks like they're setting up for it.
Looks like they're setting. Now Rivera, who is their normal punter, not back in punt formation. Good snap, though, and the kick is off and good, and that's all you needed at this point. Will bounce down, and Kingston has it at the 41-yard line. They'll try to return this one. Good job by the Port Jervis special teams. A small return, and that ball is returned out to the Kingston, 47-yard line. 5 minutes and 7 seconds to go in this one. Port Jervis comfortably on top, 24-0. We have an injured Raider player on the field right now as the ball is placed down. We'll see. We're hoping for the best as the players take the knee, as is customary, at the youth level and the high school level.
Absolutely. That was Landon Snyder, 16 for the Raiders, on the kick, on the punt. And it looks like this Raider down with looks like he might have twisted his left foot, or maybe a little bit of a leg cramp.
So as the trainers attend to Port Jervis, it's been a great day for Port Jervis. They're 5 minutes away from claiming their first championship. And another good news is seeing the injured player jog off.
That's Bryce Bochesney for the Raiders. He's coming to the sidelines. So whatever. It looks like obviously it was a leg cramp because he's running off.
Yeah.
And thank God for that. I mean, this is youth football, and you don't ever want to see injury at any level of football.
You got to put some bananas in you. Get that potassium going. I had Rice Krispies and bananas this morning, even though I was not about to play any football. But
listen, that D3 game's starting in a little bit. If there's a spare helmet, they might need a wide out. But I hear you might be on the IR with a finger injury.
I have no comment. Oh, my goodness.
It's all good. Listen, no one's calling me to come down there and play any football because they bring that scale out.
It is
I'm
great,
in trouble.
though. Again, it's funny that we're talking about this because I remember the game. You remember, these kids will remember this game 10, 20, 30 years from now. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but that's what football does. 1st and 10, Port Jervis, Cole Ferraro back, for Kingston, Ferraro back at quarterback. Finds his man Botin over the middle. Another good pass play for the Tigers as they go back to Ferraro after using Ricketson at quarterback on that last possession.
I'll tell you one thing. Kingston stat book, they're going to have a lot of passing yards. But the passing yards have been inside the 30s. And I don't mean the good side of inside the 30s. It's been from the 30 to the 30, but at the middle of the field, not where they need to be towards the end zones.
Yeah, his favorite targets today have been Schoonmaker and number 7, Miles Botin. So 1st and 10, Tigers on the Port 37. 4:40 to go, 4th quarter. Ferraro shotgun. 3 receivers tight, low snap. He picks it up, throws it out to the right. incomplete pass. Costs it on the coverage for Port Jervis.
Tell you what, Ferraro, that ball rolled to him. He picks it up, has the ball in his hand, laces are on the other side of the ball, and he still finds a way to chuck the ball downfield.
Now something's coming to me. He's a little burlier, but he wears a number 4, kind of like Brett Favre-like. He's kind of like...
he is a gunslinger out there.
And, again, he's a tough kid. Again, and you cannot question his effort today. I mean, he has... To use that cliche, he left it all out there on the field. His team trails, though, by 24, 4:35 to go. 2nd and 10 Tigers. Ferraro in the shotgun, 3 receivers to his right, towards the Port Jervis bench. Under pressure, steps up in the pocket, sheds one tackler. He's got another guy, sheds him. And there's about 6 or 7 guys who finally come to the aid.
I think he fumbled that.
Yeah, and he loses the football. I think they retain possession, but my goodness. Just it's like clearing a table as he's just pushing the defenders off him.
Well, he's a right-handed quarterback, and he gets flushed out of the pocket. He takes the ball, he puts it in his left hand, and he's dangling it out there while he's, as you mentioned, tableclothing swipes with his right hand. This kid is something special. Kingston, hold on to this young guy, because I can't wait to see him at the high school level in a couple years.
3rd and 10 for Ferraro. We're under 4 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. Tight formation. He's got a couple of receivers to his left and right. Port Jervis expecting the pass. It's a sweep to Boatin out of the shotgun. He breaks a couple of tackles into the Port Jervis secondary. Finally gang tackled by a couple of Raiders defenders, and it's going to bring up 4th down, a gain of about 6 for Kingston.
Kmar and Jones on the tackle for the Raiders. That was a nice play by Kingston.
Little jet sweep. Number 7, again, he's had his hands on the football a lot for Kingston.
It's official now. This guy is now one of my favorite youth football players in this Mike Ferraro. Or check that, Mike's son, Cole Ferraro. I think he's got a little scrape on the left elbow, so he is all football man out there right now.
So Cole Ferraro now under the shotgun. He's got 4th and 4. Whistles will stop the clock with 2:59 to go, and Kingston's going to call a timeout. So Mike Ferraro, the head coach, will bring his son over and the rest of the Kingston offense and see if they can come up with a big play here, keep this drive going. They trail 24-0, 2:59 to go. It's been Port Jervis's day. All Raiders from the beginning right now until 2:59 to go in the 4th.
Yeah, and the Raider defense huddling up right now, but they know what is going on here. Talk about that score, 24, but it's that other number, 0. That defense knows our job is to not put any points on the board, and that means the other team, no points for them, so they still have work to do here in this afternoon. Back to Cole Ferraro real quick. The only thing that would make this kid even cooler is if this was an old, dirty, muddy field, because you know he would be covered in head to toe in mud. You wouldn't be able to see his number, but you would know who he is.
There he is, number 4, as he puts himself she's in the shotgun. So 4th and 4. Ferraro's got 3 receivers to his left this time. Straight drop, looking to his left over the middle. He's got a receiver. He's tackled right by the first down sticks. I think it's going to be just enough. That's Ricketson on the catch. Again, Ferraro just kind of sidearms it to him over the middle. Takes a hit, makes the catch. Kingston keeps the drive alive. Clock still ticking, 2:45 to go in this one.
Justin Jones with a formed tackle on the play.
Ferraro shotgun. He's got Ricketson and 2 others to his left. 3 receivers left and 1 to the right. Drops straight back, gets it out quick down the sideline left. Overthrows his intended receiver. Good coverage on the play by Port Jervis. Stops the clock with, that's actually still ticking away, but no, they stop it.
They're going to stop it now, but boy, Kingston lost about. They should have lost.
It's still going, but.
I know the referee is waving his hands on the field to stop the clock. They do now at 2:09. They're going to have to put about 20 back on there. But Ferraro, man, this kid throws the ball. He doesn't chucks it downfield. And Port's defense knows one thing. They got 25 yards to protect here if they want to preserve that shutout on the scoreboard.
2nd and 10 for the Tigers. Ferraro, straight drop. Kingston, 3 receivers to his left. Straight drop. Under pressure. fumbles the ball in the pocket. I think Kingston recovers again, but that Port Jervis defensive front and the linebackers, Ben Rivera, they're all coming again. Ferraro does not have much time.
And you know what Ferraro couldn't do? He couldn't step into the pocket because the pocket collapsed. Heavy rush on the outside by Port Jervis, but the interior linemen were right there. That's good defensive hold by the Raider defensive front, foul 4 or 5.
He could not clear the table on that one. Not that time. Too many dishes on the table with the Port Jervis defense. 3rd and 13 coming up, 1 minute and 30 seconds to go, fourth quarter. All Port Jervis today in the Division II championship game. Ferraro in the shotgun. He's got 4 receivers to his right. Now one comes in motion back to the other side.
They didn't have anyone over here.
Straight drop, under pressure, throws it over the middle. Got Ricketson, one of his favorite guys, again over the middle. Makes the catch, tackled by 3 or 4 black jersey defenders.
When here it comes down to it, about 1 minute left in the game. It's 4th down for Kingston at the Port Jervis 20-yard line. They need the 15.
One more stop for Port Jervis, and the celebration will start on the far sideline. Under a minute to go. Ferraro, shotgun, 3 receivers to his right. He straight drop, gets it off over the middle, looking for Ricketson. The ball is incomplete. Port Jervis defense holds. They will take over. They lead 24-0. 40 seconds to go in this one. And number 4 in Kingston, Cole Ferraro, kind of walks slowly to the Kingston sideline. He's giving it his all, but it's the guys on the other sideline who are about to celebrate their first ever youth football championship for the city of Port Jervis.
Boy, and you can feel the energy from the other sideline as the players come running onto the field. It'll be a victory formation for the Port offense as the scoreboard says 24-0, 40 seconds left. And for these Raiders, their work is almost complete. Their job is almost done. They came here with a mission, not only to win, but that defense wanted to pitch a shutout, and it looks like they're going to be successful across the board.
Middletown was crowned champions in Division I before this game. It looks like the Port Jervis Raiders are about to do the same here in Division II. They take the knee. That might be the final snap. Maybe one more, and that will be it. They are running off the field victorious. The Port Jervis Raiders will defeat the Kingston Tigers 24-0 in the Orange County Youth Football League Division II championship game here at Marlboro High School. You have a happy group of Raider football players and coaches and parents.
What a great victory for these Raiders. They came with a single purpose to win this game, and from start to finish, that purpose was held true. Great offense, great defense, solid special teams, and all around, you can't call it perfect, but a near perfectly executed football game for the Raiders. Both teams lined up to do what we do from the youth level all the way up to the high school level, and that is at the 50-yard line, shaking hands in the spirit of competition. Kingston gave it all today, but it was all Port Jervis. It was all Ben Rivera. It was all Raiders. It was a great win for the Port Jervis D2 team.
This D2 team will finish the season with a record of 10-1. Their playoff run, it was 20-6 over Valley Central, 36-7 over Middletown, and here in the championship game, they shut out the Kingston Tigers 24-0. Tigers finished their season with a record of 9-2, and for the first time ever, a Port Jervis youth football team runs off the field as champions, and the scene is a great scene here as the Port Jervis flag is being run down the sidelines. A lot of smiles on that sideline.
Oh, absolutely. Port Jervis traveled very well. Great crowd here. We went all the way up in Marlboro. But the moms and dads, the Port Jervis family has been with this team since day one. They would show up at the field with Gatorades and drinks in August. They would turn their lights on in the parking lot so the kids could see their way from the field as it got darker. They were there making the sandwiches, washing the uniforms, getting the kids there, and it shows that this is a total community effort, and what a great win for the Raiders. Oh, so excited for them.
Yeah, really turns things around. Again, you were there last night. The Port Jervis high school football team in the state playoffs loses a tough game, but these kids, these young kids and these coaches kind of turn things around for that city and get them back on a positive feeling as you head into the Thanksgiving holidays. What a way to end a football season here at Marlboro High School. My goodness, it's a beautiful day for the Raiders and their football community. Again, it's a city that just loves their football, and here at the youth level. They are raising the trophy right now. A lot of cheering, a lot of celebrating. And again, a good effort, though, as these Kingston Tiger football players walk off the field. They had a really good season, but they just could not win that final game.
You know, and we talked about it last night in the high school game. Sadly, in championship games, there's one team that will win, and there's one team that won't. And today it was Kingston, but not for a classic effort. That team, from start to finish, never once did they quit on a play. Never once did they look to their left and look to their right and question how much their other teammates were playing. They played hard as a team. They just met up against a superstar team in Port Jervis, and Port Jervis came out ready to play. And you know what? A good, clean game on both sides, as both teams, in the spirit of competition, played hard. They played inside the tackle box. They played inside the line of scrimmage. They played inside the outside yard markers, and they played in a good competition, focused on winning a championship, not about, attitudes or egos, and that's what's so great to see in youth football.
Yeah, what a dominating season. I mean, they do lose the one game to Monroe, but just talking about the points for and the points against, I mean, dominating. Dominating.
What do they always say? Defense wins championships, and the Port defense definitely came ready to play today, and they showed. Now they're all out there on the middle of the field getting their pictures taken. Happy moms and dads are on the sidelines ready to hug their kids and celebrate this victory. And once again, that Port flag, I don't know who's running up and down the sidelines, but I'll tell you who he is, because he'll be sleeping on the way home as he is running to and from the goal line to celebrate this victory. So great win for the D2 Raiders. And Christian, I got to tell you, it was great to be with you here in the box.
Oh, Tom, I enjoyed it. 100% enjoyed calling a football game with you. And again, it's a great way to end the season. I mean, if you're a Port Jervis football fan, as you are, I mean, it's a great way to end the season. So much goes into these seasons. We talked about the time. Again, August 1st, that's a long time ago. But to culminate it, all that hard work, and really just put the stamp on it with a title. That's, again, something, I mean, the truth is, you'll remember this forever. You'll remember it forever.
And we want to thank so many people who have helped make this happen. First and foremost, we want to thank the Wizard back in the studio. He's the guy that makes all of this happen. Without him, there is nothing that can be said about this broadcast. He makes sure the dials are set right.
The Harry Potter of radio.
Absolute a doubt. And, of course, we want to thank not just the Port Jervis Youth Football League, but all the moms and dads that are involved with Youth Football League. None of this would be possible today on WDLC Radio without the assistance of attorney James M. Hendry, helping us make the play-by-play action come to you live. We also want to thank all of the local sponsors who have been there all the way to sponsor youth football, and that includes 3 Ninja Express, Art Trovey & Son, Assemblyman Carl Brabenick, Burger King, Cornerstone Family Health, Cuttabackville Service Center, Dairy Queen, our buddy DJ Rockefeller, Edward Jones Financial Advisor, Yolanda Emerson, the Elks Lodge, Family Orthodontics, Gray Parker Funeral Home, John Coda and Son Supply, our good friend and my good buddy John Fuller, Johnson and Conroy Agency, the Knight Moody Funeral Home, Lakewood Estates, Laurel Grove Greenhouses, Napa Auto Parts, Neversink Lumber, the Port Jervis Auto Mall, RC Lane Incorporated, Semarelli Trucking, State Farm Insurance, James Demmer Agent, Summit Research Labs, Tanky's Garage, Tom's Automotive and Repair, and the best of them all, our good friends, the ladies and gents down at the VFW Post 161. Christian, it's been a great time. I'm going to sign off for me. You take it away and close us out, brother.
All right, well, the final score here from Marlboro High School in the Orange County Youth Football League Division II Championship game. The Port Jervis Raiders 24, Kingston Tigers 0. Port Jervis claims their first ever Orange County Youth Football League Championship. For Tom Fagione, I'm Christian Farrell. Thank you very much for listening on WDLC Country Radio.